Okay guys, this video is going to go along with your Ionic Character worksheet in your packet. So let's review the types of bonds that we have. So we have ionic, and that is when a chemical bond is formed when positive and negative ions, and they're attracted because they're positive and negative. Now what's new is that you actually can have something called a polar bond, which is a chemical bond that has electrons that are shared, but they're uneven. So it's covalent, but the electrons are going to have slightly negative and slightly positive charges because the electrons are shared unevenly. Now a nonpolar covalent bond is going to be formed when the electrons are shared evenly. So let's talk about electron density. So we need a definition here. Electronegativity. It is the tendency of an atom to attract electrons. So how much, that you're going to have a number for electronegativity, and that number, the bigger it is, the more that atom wants electrons. So recall, nonpolar means electrons are shared evenly. Polar means electrons are not shared evenly. And then you're going to have something on these drawings called dipole arrows. They're going to show which atom wants the electrons more. And I'll show you how to do all that. So in order to determine the ionic character, in order to determine whether or not something is ionic, polar, or nonpolar, okay, you're going to subtract the electronegativities and then look up the number below on this chart. So when you subtract them, they're going to be nonpolar covalent if it's between 0 and 0.5. Above 0.5 all the way to 2.1 is going to be polar. And then above that is going to be ionic. You should write this down in your notes. So this chart gives the electronegativity for each atom. I'm also posting it on your Google Classroom so you can just touch it and save it to your phone. You will have this on the quiz, but this is where you look to figure out what the electronegativity of each atom is, and then to figure out whether it's polar or nonpolar, you're going to subtract them. The number that you get when you subtract them, you look up on this chart and figure out whether it's polar or nonpolar.